I never believed in second chances until the day I woke up in someone else's body, staring at my own face in the mirror, her lips curled in a smile that wasn't mine. That morning, I drove my beat-up Honda across the Golden Gate Bridge, rain hammering the windshield like accusations I couldn't outrun, to meet the man who would become my everything, or so I thought. But by the time I pulled over to help that stranded woman on the shoulder, her Ferrari stalled like a wounded beast. I had no idea I'd just handed over the keys to my own destruction. Her name was Lydia Voss, sleek and silver-haired, with eyes like polished obsidian that sized me up before I even popped the hood. "You're a lifesaver, kid," she purred, her voice dripping East Coast money, as I jury-rigged the alternator with a hairpin and some duct tape from my glove box. I laughed it off. Esther Hale, small-town mechanic's daughter turned code monkey in the valley, always the fixer. She insisted on repaying me with coffee at the next exit, and stupid me, rushing late to dinner with my fiancé Jake and his mysterious daddy dearest, said yes. One spiked latte later, the world tilted, colors bleeding into static, and I blacked out with her manicured hand on my shoulder, whispering, "Sweet dreams, Esther." When I came to, it wasn't in the vinyl booth of that roadside diner. It was in a penthouse suite overlooking the bay, silk sheets tangled around legs that weren't mine longer, smoother, marked by a tattoo I'd never gotten, a serpent coiling up a thigh. I bolted upright, heart slamming like a glitchy server, and stumbled to the bathroom. The mirror showed Lydia Voss staring back, her Botox-frozen face slack with my panic. I touched her cheek, my cheek, and felt the stranger's skin yield under fingers that moved like puppets on bad strings. "What the fuck?" I gasped, but it came out in her husky timbre, laced with that inherited arrogance. That's when the real nightmare downloaded. We'd swapped. Souls, essences, whatever you call it, trapped in each other's meat suits by some black market neural hack she'd cooked up in her husband's labs. Voss Industries. The name alone made tech bros cream their hoodies. Biotech behemoth, pumping out neural implants for the elite, mind-reading wearables, memory boosters, the kind of shit that blurred the line between human and upgrade. Lydia's husband, Victor Voss, Jake's old man, was the kingpin, a silver fox with a Senate seat in his back pocket and rumors of darker dealings swirling like exhaust in the fog. I'd met Jake 6 months back at a hackathon in Palo Alto, him all tousled hair and trust fund charm, me geeking out over his pitch for ethical AI. Love at first commit, we joked. He proposed on a yacht off Sausalito, ring glinting like a promise. But now, as I fumbled through her walk-in closet, Gucci this, Chanel that, I pieced it together from the frantic voicemails on her phone. She'd targeted me because I was close. Too close. Jake wasn't just my fiancé, he was her pawn, and I was the loose end. The betrayal hit like a DDoS attack, flooding my stolen synapses with fragments. Jake's late nights at the office, Lydia's cryptic lunches with him, Victor's shadow looming over it all. I'd signed an NDA for Voss Industries months ago, thinking it was just freelance code for their latest app. But it was more. They'd framed me for embezzling R&D funds, millions siphoned into offshore accounts, pinned on my access logs. I remembered the audit, the FBI knock at my door 2 weeks prior, Victor's oily assurance that family takes care of family. I'd borne it silently, for Jake, because he swore his dad would fix it. Lies. All of it. Lydia had orchestrated the swap to tie off the loose end. Me, discredited and disappeared, while she played the grieving widow or whatever cover story they spun. I smashed her, my fist, into the marble vanity, marble cracking like my resolve. Blood welled, not mine, but the pain grounded me. Revenge wasn't a debug, it was a full system wipe. Starting now. Dressed in her power armor, a crimson sheath that hugged like a vice, I descended to the garage, keys to the Ferrari trembling in my grip. The drive to Jake's loft in the Mission was a blur of taillights and rage, her body's grace making me feel like a glitchy avatar in a sim. He buzzed me up, all boyish grin and craft IPAs, oblivious until I stepped inside, her perfume announcing the intruder. "Mom? What the? It's Tuesday. Dad's expecting you at the club." His eyes darted, guilty flickers I now decoded like bad code. I let her voice slither out, smooth as oiled code. "Surprise inspection, darling." Where's your little pet project? Esther. The name tasted like ash. He paled, stammering about a work trip, but I pressed, circling him like a shark in chummed waters. Piece by piece, I extracted it. The affair, her idea to seduce him into compliance, the frame job, my mistake, covering their real scam, harvesting user data from those implants, selling souls to the highest bidder. Victor's empire built on stolen thoughts, and I'd been the fall guy for a whistleblower hack I'd unknowingly triggered. By dawn, I'd planted the seeds, anonymous tips to his phone, doctored files on his laptop, whispers in her timbre that cracked his facade. He broke, sobbing apologies to the woman he thought was his mother, confessing everything. I recorded it all, her manicured nails tapping send to a burner cloud. But it wasn't enough. Victor was the root buried deep. Infiltrating Voss Tower was like hacking the mainframe blind, security drones humming like angry bees, retinal scans that now passed because her eyes were mine. I played the grieving wife at board meetings, her poise masking my fury, dropping viral code into their systems, leaks to WikiLeaks, stock dumps timed to tank shares. Controversial? Hell yes. I greenlit experimental swaps on low-level execs, test dummies who'd crossed Victor, watching their lives unravel in real-time chaos. One suit, a VP who'd buried the implant side effects, lobotomies disguised as glitches, woke up in his maid's body, scrubbing floors while his empire evaporated. The board called it innovation. The press screamed ethics violation. Protests clogged the streets outside, signs reading, "Who owns your mind?" I sipped Voss's single malt in the corner office, her lips smirking at the irony. But Jake. God, Jake. The decisions gnawed at me like bad ram. I could have ended him clean, framed him for the leaks, let the feds haul him off. Instead, I dragged it out, forcing him into her bed, whispering manipulations that echoed the affair he'd thrown away our future for. "Mom, please, this isn't you," he'd beg, and I'd laugh, her laugh, low and cruel. It was torture porn for the soul, controversial as fuck, incestuous undertones without the act, just the mindfuck of blurred lines. Was I avenging or becoming the monster? Nights bled into doubts, her body craving the wine and pills she hid in the safe, pulling me under like quicksand. The climax brewed in Victor's private lab, buried under the tower like a dragon's hoard. I'd pieced the swap tech from her fragmented memories, neural bridges, quantum entanglement bullshit funded by DARPA black budgets. Lydia had volunteered me as the beta, spiking my drink to map my neural print. To reverse it, I needed her body, my body, alive and compliant. Jake delivered her, trust like a gift, eyes wild with my terror. "Esther," he whispered, realizing too late as I synced the machine, her screams echoing in stereo. We bridged, souls straining against the ether, but Victor crashed the party, his cane tapping like a metronome of doom. "Predictable," he drawled, flanked by mercs in tactical gear. The old bastard had known all along, playing God with contingencies. A bullet grazed her, my shoulder, but I triggered the overload. The lab erupted in EMP fireworks, frying implants citywide, users clawing at phantom itches as their minds glitched. Victor lunged, but Jake, my Judas, shoved him into the arc, screams cut short by the hum. In the aftermath, as sirens wailed like digital banshees, I tumbled back into myself, gasping on cold tile, Lydia's husk smoking nearby. Jake knelt, tears carving canyons in his face. "Esther, I did it for us." Lies still. But the twist hit harder than the swap. Recordings I'd planted revealed the truth reversed. I'd been the architect, not the victim. In a fugue of buried memories, her memories, I'd initiated the frame to expose Voss, but Victor flipped it, using Jake to seduce me into silence. The affair? My ploy, subconscious sabotage bleeding through. Victor's death? Self-defense or murder? The feds would debate it in court, headlines screaming tech heiress or fraud. The body swap scandal that shattered Silicon Valley. I walked free, charges twisted into heroism by my leaks. Jake rotted in county, pleading diminished capacity from the glitch. But victory tasted like rust. Was it revenge or revelation? I drive that same Honda now, Bridges behind me, but her eyes haunt the rear view, questioning if the swap ever really ended. The fog rolled in thicker after the lab fire, cloaking San Francisco like a guilty conscience. I crashed at a Fleabag motel off Van Ness, the kind with hourly rates and walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' regrets. My body, back to its freckled, callous self, ached like it had been rebuilt from scrap, every joint protesting the neural whiplash. Jake's calls lit up my burner. Baby, it was all him. Come back. We can fix this. Fix this. Like I was the buggy line in his perfect script. I deleted them one by one, but the ghosts lingered, her voice echoing in my skull, Lydia's arrogance fused with my grit, a hybrid malware I couldn't purge. Victor Voss's empire crumbled faster than a house of cards in a wind tunnel. Shares plummeted 80% overnight, board members jumping ship or literal edges, whispers of class action suits from implant victims whose thoughts now looped like bad playlists. The press feasted, CNN panels debating the Voss virus, innovation or invasion. Pundits in stiff collars pontificated on consent, privacy, the American dream digitized and devoured. I watched from dive bars, nursing PBRs that tasted like freedom laced with bile. Controversial hero, they called me an anonymous leak side-seated Esther Hale, the whistleblower who burned it down. But the Fed circled, Agent Ramirez with her no-bullshit stare and questions that peeled layers. You sure you didn't tamper with the evidence, Ms. Hale? That recording of Voss Sr. conveniently edited. Doubts festered like unpatched vulnerabilities. In the quiet hours, I'd trace the tattoo scar on my thigh, hers, faint now, reminder of the bleed. What if the swap hadn't fully reversed? Flashes. Victor's study, years back, me not as victim but architect. I'd hacked their servers first, not as employee but rival, jealous codeslinger from a defunct startup boss had crushed. Jake was bait, the affair a feint to get close. But Victor anticipated, twisting my play into his endgame. Or was that her memory gaslighting me? The line blurred, reality glitching between betrayals. Deep down, I'd borne the crime not for love, but ambition, embezzling to fund my own neural net, a democratic counter to their elite stranglehold. Secrets upon secrets, buried so deep even I hadn't excavated them. Revenge Phase 2 ignited when Lydia's half-sister, really, a Vassar trust funder named Celeste, slithered into the fray. She wasn't blood, but Voss money made her family, perched in the tower's remnants like a vulture in Louboutins. Celeste Voss Kane, media darling, podcast host railing against big tech in honeyed tones while cashing Victor's checks. She'd been the hidden hand, funneling the harvested data to DC lobbyists, greasing bills that shielded Voss from regs. Now, with Dad's throne vacant, she eyed CEO, spinning the scandal as tragic innovation gone awry. I hated her on sight, polished predator, echoing Lydia's chill but weaponized with performative feminism. I tracked her to a gala at the De Young, black-tie tech elite toasting resilience amid the ruins. Slipping in as consultant, fake badge courtesy of a dark web fab, I cornered her in the sculpture garden, fog beating on bronze rodans like sweat. Esther Hale, she cooed, flute of veuve in hand, the girl who cried wolf. Or should I say, swap souls. Her eyes glittered, knowing. She'd greenlit the beta, Lydia's enabler, betting on the swap to erase me. Controversial decision 1. I didn't confront. I seduced. In her voice, wait, no, mine now, raw and real, I fed her doubts, planting a neural fiber from the lab debris. Subdermal tick, sinking to her implant, whispering subliminals, paranoia loops, visions of boardroom betrayals. It started small, Celeste snapping at aides, canceling interviews, eyes darting like cornered prey. Then the leaks, her emails to offshore brokers, data dumps timestamped to her sign-off. Protests swelled, not just outside Voss Tower but her Soma penthouse, activists chaining themselves to her gates with signs, "Thought thief." The media flipped, her TED Talk got yanked, sponsors fleeing like rats. I watched from a tailgate truck in the Presidio, binoculars trained, her silhouette pacing balconies, unraveling. Power's a drug and withdrawal's a bitch. She clawed back, though, hired PIs to dig my dirt, doxing my mom back in Reno, whispers of unstable hacker, poisoning the narrative. That's when the tension ratcheted, dark and taut as a server farm hum. Agent Ramirez leaned harder, hauling me in for voluntary chats at the federal building, fluorescent buzz drilling my skull. We found residuals in your brain scan. Hail. Voss tech signatures. You playing both sides? I stonewalled, but inside, the swap's echo pulsed, Lydia's cunning bleeding into my veins, urging escalation. Controversial decision 2, I targeted Celeste's inner circle. Her lover, a rising pole from Sacramento, Senator Ellis, all teeth and tariffs, got the full treatment. Doctored vids of pillow talk treason, leaked to Politico. He cratered, resignation speech choking on denials, while she burned bridges blaming sabotage by ex-employees. Me. Always me. Nights blurred into code binges in abandoned warehouses off 101, caffeine and cat videos my only company. Jake wrote from lockup, letters smuggled via his lawyer. I knew about the swap, Esther. Dad made me. But I chose you in the end. Bullshit poetry, but it cracked something, nostalgia for the boy I'd loved before the bites turned bitter. I visited once, through plexi, his face gaunt, eyes pleading absolution. Let me rot, he said. Just tell me you forgive. I pressed the receiver close, voice steady. Forgiveness is for servers with backups, Jake. You're wiped. But walking out, her laugh bubbled up unbidden, controversial as confessing love to your jailer. Celeste struck back filthy, a deepfake of me confessing to Victor's murder, viral on X within hours, blue check outrage exploding. Body swap killer trended, doomers demanding death threats, my Reno mom fielding calls from tabloids. The valley turned toxic, old colleagues ghosting, freelance gigs drying like the bay in drought. Shadows lengthened. I slept with a Glock under the pillow, her body's ghost making me jump at reflections. The betrayal deepened. Celeste wasn't just enabler, she'd been Lydia's template, the prodigal daughter Victor groomed as backup heir. The frame? Her idea, testing loyalties, me the disposable canary in the neural coal mine. Climax 2 brewed in a storm-lashed boardroom atop the smoldering tower, Celeste rallying remnants for a hostile takeover rebrand as Voss 2.0, ethical pivot bullshit. I infiltrated as janitor, mop bucket camouflage, FOBA primed for mass sync. As she monologued PowerPoint pieties on rebuilding trust, I flipped the switch. Implants in the room, execs, donors, press embeds, glitched symphony, hallucinations of audits, lovers' quarrels, buried scandals surfacing like bubbles in tar. Chaos erupted, chairs toppling, screams mingling with static. Celeste seized, eyes rolling, clawing at phantoms only she saw, Victor's ghost, Lydia's whisper, my truth serum. I dragged her to the ledge, rain whipping like accusations, her manicure scraping my arm. You think this ends me? She gasped, mascara rivers. We're the same, hungry for the throne. The twist whispered, maybe. But I shoved the fobber deeper, forcing the confession live stream to the gala feed. I did it, she broadcast, world watching. The swaps, the data, the frame, Esther was innocent. Collapse. Her empire vaporized, SEC swarming, Celeste carted off in cuffs, sobbing sister to the ghosts. But as thunder cracked, Ramirez's cruisers lit the lot below. No escape. The revenge tasted pyrrhic, dark tension uncoiling into dread. Was justice the swap's illusion, or had I authored my own cage? Handcuffs bit cold into my wrists as they marched me down the tower steps, flashbulbs popping like neural misfires, range turning the concrete to slick accusation. No comment. I shouted to the scrum, but inside, the echo chamber thrummed, Lydia's poise, my fire, debating surrender. Agent Ramirez rode shotgun in the cruiser, her profile etched against sodium lights. You could have come to us clean, Hale. Now it's conspiracy, tampering, the works. I met her gaze in the mirror, unflinching. Clean? In this town? Voss owned the badges. She snorted, almost a laugh. Maybe. But souls? That's above my pay grade. Lockup was a detox dream, caught hard as regret, fluorescent hum sinking to my pulse. Interrogations blurred days, Polygraphs beeping lies I half believed. Shrinks probing the swap scars like archaeologists at a dig. Dissociative episode, one opined. Scribbling notes on big pharma pads. Or breakthrough psychosis. Controversial decision 3. I spilled selective code. The fobbers, the leaks framed as self-preservation, not vendetta. Jake's tapes surfaced in Discovery, his sobs vindicating my arc. She was the victim. Dad made us monsters. Public sympathy swung, petitions circulating free Esther, Valley VCs quietly funding my defense, whispers of book deals and Netflix rights. Celeste lawyered up fierce, OJ-level team, spinning victimhood from her cell. Coerced confession, they argued, deepfakes of my torture circulating in right-wing echo chambers. The trial loomed like a firmware update nobody wanted. USV, hail, subtitle, the swap that shook Silicon. Opening statements in federal court, San Fran style, tech barons in the gallery, protesters chanting outside with VR headsets simulating implant glitches. My attorney, a shark named Ruiz from the Innocence Project, painted me saint. Esther Hale, betrayed by the 1%, rose like a phoenix to expose their sins. Prosecution countered grim, vigilante hacker, playing God with minds, ending in murder most foul. Testimony dragged, taught as a denied outage. Jake took the stand, shackled but sharp-suited, eyes locking mine across the wood. I loved her, he choked, voice cracking on cross. But Dad, he twisted us. The affair was his script, the swap her enforcement. Gasps rippled, Celeste's lawyers objected frenzy, but the seed rooted. Then her turn, wheeled in, gaunt and gamine, playing the broken bird. Esther wasn't innocent, she testified, voice quaver. She approached us, offered the hack for a cut. We refused. She framed it on herself for sympathy. The gallery buzzed, my gut twisting. Was it true? Flash, a memory not mine. Me in Victor's office, pitching the neural net, ambition blazing. Betrayal reversed again, me the snake, Voss the mark. The defense pivoted hard, Ruiz subpoenaing lab logs, Celeste's sign-offs on illegal trials, Lydia's emails plotting my erasure. Controversial evidence, the deepfake source code, traced to her servers, proving manipulation. Jurors shifted, Silicon skepticism turning to outrage. But the dark underbelly surfaced, witnesses from the underground swap scene, black market docs testifying to Voss's volunteer programs, undocumented migrants body-jacked for labor. revelations. Victor hadn't just harvested data, he'd auctioned identities, elites slipping into fresh skins while the poor wore outcasts. Protests escalated, riots at tech HQs, Molotovs shattering Google buses. America debated, progress or possession. My trial became referendum, op-eds clashing in the cron, hail, hero or hubris? Climax crested in closing, storm raging outside like the one in my chest. Prosecutor thundered, Esther Hale didn't just swap bodies, she swapped justice for vengeance, leaving bodies in her wake. Ruiz countered fire, she bore their crimes the frame, the affair, the erasure, and rose to unmask the machine. In a nation of dreamers digitized to drones, she rebooted the dream. Jury deliberated 3 days, city holding breath, me pacing the bullpen, her echo debating verdicts. Guilty felt earned, acquittal a glitch. The twist dropped like a kernel panic, mistrial. Juror 3, a coder from Meta, confessed tampering, Voss holdouts had hacked his implant, biasing votes. Chaos, retrial ordered, but public furor peaked. Celeste cut a deal, flipping on ghost execs for immunity, her testimony shredding the remnants. Jake walked on technicals, testifying for the state but vanishing post-verdict, rumored to Baja with a new face. Me? The judge dismissed charges in the interest of justice, citing leaked docs proving full Voss culpability. Heroes exit, confetti cannons from crowds, but the cage lingered, PTSD glitches, nights waking in sweat, unsure whose skin itched. Ending? Debatable as democracy. I bolted Reno Ward, Mom's diner a sanctuary of pie and normalcy. No empire, no fiancé, just grease under nails and code on the side for open source now, neural nets for the masses. Jake surfaces in postcards and signed, we were both swapped, forgive the glitch? I burn them, but keep one, tracing his scroll. Happy? In fragments, love rebuilt with a barista named Mia, her laugh unscripted. Tragic? In echoes, Lydia's cunning as shadow advisor, whispering upgrades I resist. The revenge? It unmasked, but didn't unmake the monster in the mirror. America rolls on. Implants cheaper now, ethics optional. Me? I'm Esther Hale, fixed and flawed, debating the reboot daily. Was it worth the swap? You tell me. In the land of the free, who owns the soul?